We interrupt our program to bring you this important message.
You are listening to The Underground Marketing Conspiracy, a secret ritual where entrepreneurs acquire highly classified and confidential business knowledge that the top 1% of income earners don't want you to know. And now, your host, Maddie Milligan.
What is up, my fellow conspirator and conspirators? Welcome to another episode of The Underground Marketing Conspiracy. Woo! Let's talk about hiring. I've had several people recently who they've been growing their business and they want to automate it more. They want to start outsourcing things. They want to get an assistant. They want to hire other people to do the work that they're already doing. In many cases, they're selling things. For example, I'm working with a gentleman who's a handyman, and he's like, I don't want to do this anymore. I just want to focus on building the business, and I don't want to do the handyman stuff anymore. And I totally understand that, and that helps him free up time, and he can spend more time with his family, which is absolutely awesome. So I think the biggest mistake, though, that a lot of people make with scaling their business, specifically with hiring, is just hiring the first person who claims they can do the skill, and basically the first person that just has a pulse and can breathe in some cases. They just hire the first person that comes along, and that usually doesn't turn out so well. But if you look at a lot of the businesses out there, whenever they're looking for employees, and I would do this, I would use sites like Indeed, for example, to just search for people, post your job on there, then use other sites like Freelancer, Upwork to post. And this way, again, you're building that hiring funnel. You're getting people coming from different places, and then you're qualifying them. You can sift through their applications. In some cases, when you're reading through, I would have a step, first of all, where it's like, hey, here's the instructions, follow these. And then if people come back to you and they have followed them, awesome, they can move on to the next step. If they haven't, then they probably can't follow instructions. You can let them know, be like, hey, here's the deal. You need to follow instructions. Like, that's the first thing that we ask for. I saw this recently on one YouTube channel where someone left the channel and they needed to hire someone. So they're like, hey, here's the first step. Like, send us a video application. It needs to be 2 minutes long and you need to tell us X, Y, Z. And they even let them know that, like, if you don't follow those, then you're not going to move on to the next round. But if you do, then you'll be considered for the next step of applications. I think, too, making it fun for people, like, to get the best quality talent, making it fun for people to do. When I used to work at this big e-commerce company, in their main office in Ottawa, they would have this race car track, this go-kart track. And apparently, I never went to the office, but they had this track, and apparently the cars were always broken, but they have a slide in their office. They have all sorts of different, like, nooks and cool offices, little workstations you can work at too. So it's fun for people, and this just helps them keep them motivated, gets them to show up for the office as well consistently, and really just helps them stay focused and keeps them on board, right? And helps them buy into your company culture as well, right? Because people want to work somewhere fun. They want to do work that's going to be exciting for them, and really just helps them get motivated and help them achieve their goals. But when I would start hiring, I would really describe how awesome your company is, like how much fun it is, and really just giving people an idea, giving them a history of how long you've been in business, let them know what your core values are and what the culture is and the kind of people you're looking for, obviously, and talking about how people must be passionate about certain things and really share that passion and really want to work with other like-minded individuals. And I think this is really going to help you find the best people. Then I would probably have like an about you section where you're going to talk about the kind of person you're looking for. We're going to be like, you need to have these specific things in place. Then I would have maybe some responsibilities that they're going to include. Now, here's where a lot of companies make mistakes, because I see some job posts where it's like 100 different responsibilities and qualifications. It's like too many. I think like 5 to 10 should suffice. With any job, there's going to be things that are going to fall outside of their responsibilities, and most people understand that there's going to be those times when they have to put in a little bit more work, or they're going to need to put in a few more hours, or they're going to need to do things that haven't been done before, and that's just part of innovation. But I would just set those expectations with people in terms of their responsibilities, but don't have too many. I would then have like a benefits section as well, where it's like, hey, here's what our company talks about, right? It's like you're going to work with good high ticket clients who are super easy to work with, who be pre-qualified and pre-screened. You're going to have fun while working with these clients. You're going to have monthly income, and that could eventually lead into a full-time salary thing with benefits as well. And if it's a sales thing, talk about bonuses, talk about cool contests that you have where they could win awesome, fun prizes. Tell them as well they're going to work with a team of cool people who want them to change, want them to grow, because they themselves are focused on growing. I think those things are very important as well. I think when it comes to like preferred qualifications, the idea honestly of being like you must have a university degree, I just find university degrees are, I don't know, I think unless you're a doctor or a lawyer, I find a lot of these BAs that people I've seen, they're just completely useless these days. So anytime I see that, if you're looking for a job and you're like, oh, but they want someone with a university degree, I wouldn't do that. Like when I'm hiring someone, honestly, like the skills or whatever, those are things that can be taught. But number one thing for me is honestly like the attitude that someone has that brings to the table, right? If they come to me and they're like, oh man, I found all these problems, like, oh, there's more and more problems, and they're creating problems, I'm going to be like, oh my God, like, it's not going to work out here, to be honest, right? But if I come with someone, they're like, hey, I found this problem and I've come up with a couple of solutions. Like, let's talk through the best things. And then I'm like, okay, this person's motivated, right? They're someone who's actively looking for solutions to problems. They're letting me know about problems that they've found, so they're saving me some time, so I'm not going to find out about this. They're coming with me with solutions. Oh, wow, awesome. Now they have a solution. Cool, let's go with that one. And then they go out and do it, and they come back and report, and they're like, hey, everything was successful. Well, it's like, all right, you're a keeper. Like, I want to work with you for a long time. I want to find other people like you. One thing too with your hiring is, please, honestly, do research on people you're hiring. Like a lot of the time, companies don't do their background checks on people, and obviously they just want to see if they don't have a criminal record or anything like that. And that's totally understandable, but in some cases, they're not even going to call your reference, which is very risky as a business. Like, I would totally call references, get a couple of them, get like a personal and then maybe a former employer of that person, and speak with them and just make sure that what they're saying is consistency, right? And that way, again, you're going to make sure that people are actually telling you the truth. If people are usually honest people in their interviews are usually going to stretch the truth to make themselves look absolutely super awesome. Same thing with the resume. Like, the only time I personally like to brag about my accomplishments and how awesome I am is, other than on this podcast, of course, would be in interviews. Like, interviews are your chance to brag about how awesome you are, right? You can, again, share all of your accomplishments. Those should already be in your resume, but have more of those in there. But if you're hiring someone and they've given you their resume, you've had an interview, check with them, right? I think, again, having multiple interviews is a good idea, but sometimes 2 interviews, like one of the reasons why I left my former company was honestly just too many stages of interviews where it's like, I've gone through 3, like now you want me to go through a 4th, and it's like, okay, and then you don't get the job after that. It's super frustrating, and you're like, all right, like I just invested so much time into this, and I gave you multiple points to let me do the thing and meet with your team, and you didn't kind of follow through. Like, that dissuades a lot of people, and it's not good for morale, and it's really not good for your culture. So those would really, again, just be some basic things that I would have. And again, before you actually schedule the interview, you might want to send some people and ask them some basic questions. Be like, oh, cool. So, is this you? Like, where do you live? What are your expectations with this job? I just want to make sure that we're going to be a good fit, and having that all set up before doing that. I think though that if it's more of an administrative, like client management kind of thing, or even in those, if it's a service-based thing or whatever it is where you're hiring someone or outsourcing that specific task, I think getting the person to do a small amount beforehand and maybe even paying them a little bit just to see that they can do the work, to seeing the quality of their work and kind of getting an idea. This way, before you hire them, if you do choose to hire them, you know that you're getting quality work. Because there's this old saying that one of my old mentors used to teach me, which was hire slow, fire fast. So it's like, take the time, find the right person that can do that tasks, make sure that they fit the culture of your company, and then hire them, right? And give them whatever they want, especially if they're very skilled at what they do. But if you hire them and it turns out they're not going to be a good fit, like, don't sit around and wait too long for them to show you that they're bad. Like if they start and then they make a few mistakes, like the first day, whatever, that's normal. But after that first week, if they're kind of showing you that they can't do the job and you're like, oh man, this is going to take a lot more time. Like, would it take me more time to find someone to replace them than it would be to just keep them on board? Like, is it going to make the other people on my team upset? Like, did I think this person was an A player when in fact they're a B or a C or a D player? And having those questions and then being like, all right, you know what, like this isn't going to work out. Like, let's talk with HR. Let's, get them out of the business because it's just not going to work out. And, that's unfortunate. Obviously, it sucks for you for wasting all the time and energy and money and resources into that person. But if it's not going to fit and it's going to make the business less productive, and again, it's not going to make your company as innovative, and you're going to upset your current employees, then that's unfortunately what you're going to have to do. It sucks. It's very difficult to do, to let people go. People think that, again, being the CEO is easy, but when you have to let people go, when you have responsibility for so many people, when you're giving them that paycheck every couple of weeks so they can pay their bills and keep their family fed and keep a roof over their homes, like that sucks, right? So this is why, again, take the time to hire someone good. Have a good application set up, have a good hiring process, look for multiple sources where you can find people. And then ultimately, maybe in some cases, if you have two good people, you might want to hire them both, because again, if it's a specific service you're providing, right? Let's say you run Facebook ads for clients and you yourself, you've been doing them. You're like, all right, I want to get someone and I just want to do all the sales myself and do all the imagining for what the future of the company and come up with a long-term vision for the company. And maybe you find two people who are awesome at Facebook ads, right? Maybe, again, hiring them, both of them at the same time, maybe hiring them per project. And then again, if they both turn out to be good, then getting them both on board full time, right? Like, cause that's kind of the dream scenario, honestly. And if you can find more than two, like, wow, that's absolutely amazing. And again, maybe one of them works out, maybe one of them doesn't, but that way you're finding, maybe that way you're saving yourself a lot of time by hiring a few people long term for the business. Again, they need to be qualified. You need to do all your research, all your background checks, making sure that you're making them follow procedures, making sure that they're a good fit with your team. And that's ultimately what I would recommend when it comes to hiring employees for your business. Hope you enjoyed this episode of the Underground Marketing Conspiracy. If you did, I want you to consider subscribing. Even consider listening to past episodes, because I believe there's over 70 episodes or so at this point. So all sorts of content I would recommend. If you're listening to this on iTunes or Spotify, I would really appreciate if you could leave me a review and give me some feedback so I know how I'm doing, letting me know what sort of content you would also like to see in the future. My name is Matty Milligan. I will see you next time on another episode of the Underground Marketing Conspiracy. Woo!